Hello everyone, welcome back, and today I'm back with another video, this time doing the shortcuts on Blue Moon. But before I address the shortcuts, there's a quick thing I want to mention that I forgot to mention last video when I did the dark side shortcuts. So on the bottom right, you can see I have 120 FPS right now. Now usually the FPS is kept at 60, but there's something called an FPS unlocker that you can use to increase your FPS. The reason to do this is because back jumps become a lot easier with higher FPS, but the trade back is that wall hops become incredibly difficult. So when picking what FPS you should use when speedrunning a map, you should check, does this map involve wall hops? If it does, you should go 60, but on dark side there was found a new shortcut recently, which I will show right now. So this is the shortcut I was talking about, and this is really hard to do on 60 FPS. So in the current speedruns they use higher FPS. That means wall hops basically become impossible, as I'll show on this little part. So this is how you used to do wall hops. It's still possible. That's because of my 120 FPS, and that's the next thing I'm gonna tell you. If a level involves both back jumps and wall hops, you could opt for 120 FPS because wall hops are still possible. But if a map uses no wall hops whatsoever, you can cap your FPS to as high as your computer can handle, because it will make your back jumps a lot easier. So a good example of a map that doesn't really require wall hops is Poisonous Chasm. So for this one, since you need a back jump for this shortcut, you can set your FPS to higher than usual. As you can see, I set it to 360, but you can go even higher if your PC can handle it. And this normally very difficult shortcut now becomes, well, it's still difficult, but it becomes a lot easier. As you can see, I got it on my 4th try here. So yeah, that's basically how you decide what FPS you want to use for different maps that you're speedrunning. You don't have to follow what other people do, just think to yourself, am I using wall hops for this speedrun? Am I using back jumps for this speedrun? If you're not using back jumps, you should go 60 to make the wall hops easier. If you're using both, go in between, like 120. And if you're only doing back jumps, you can go as high as you want. And that's basically the rule that I stick to. So now that that is out of the way, I will show you every single Blue Moon shortcut used in the any percent category right now on the leaderboards on speedrun.com. This time I will actually go in order. So for the first shortcut, this is right after the first button, and it's simply jumping to this crate and then over. I usually choose to not go for this shortcut in my speedruns because it's a little bit risky and it doesn't save time if executed poorly. The way I'm doing it right now, I don't think it saves any time, but it's the safest way to do it. Now, if you want to save time with this, you would have to jump from the lower part of the crate like this. But that is hard to do in one smooth motion. So you can go for that if you want, but I usually choose not to. Now for the second shortcut for the solo category, this is a long jump from here to here. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. It's a pretty long jump, and again, same as before, it doesn't save that much time because usually you would jump like this. There would be a little platform right here. Now you jump in this one straight motion. So obviously it does save time, but not that much. And it's a pretty hard jump, so I usually don't go for this one either. But I think this one is definitely worth it to practice and to go for. So our third shortcut is gonna be in this room, and usually you would go around like this, but you can actually clip through this part with a corner clip, like this. I'm gonna keep that in. Flawless. As you can see, it isn't worth going for whatsoever. They don't even use this in the speedruns. The world record doesn't use it, and there's not a single run that uses this. Not even the tool-assisted speedrun does. Because the setup takes more time than to just go around, and half the time you're just gonna get stuck in the block like this. It's a mess. It's not worth going for. This one is really not worth going for. Trust me on this one. Well, shit. So our next shortcut is gonna be for this part. This actually isn't much of a shortcut, it's just a bit of an optimization. It's the best way you can do this part. Usually you would go like this, and then around the crate and on the pipes, but it's actually better to jump straight to the pipe from here. That would look a bit like this. And that is the fastest way to do that. So for our next shortcut, this is definitely a favorite. It's the wall ride. You can skip the wall jumps by riding the wall like this, and it's quite easy to do so. First of all, you want to make sure your character is lined up with the platform like this. Next up, you want to make sure your character keeps facing that way, and then when you go to the walls, you want to hold S and D with that angle. And that way, you'll get it every time. It's one of the easiest shortcuts. It saves a lot of time. This is one of those shortcuts that's really worth going for. It's super consistent. So this is probably the most famous shortcut on Blue Moon, and in the game maybe. For this one, you want to get a back jump on this corner and make your way up. Now, I am not the best person to show you this because, quite frankly, I suck at this one. But you can make your way up with a back jump like that. So for the second part of this shortcut, this is a simple wall hop to the top. And it's very easy to do because there's a setup that works every time. And it's very easy. You just want to make sure you're facing the wall like this. You want to stand a little left of the center. You're gonna jump straight at the wall like that, and then at the apex of your jump, you're just gonna turn around. You're just gonna flick your camera backwards, and you're gonna make sure you keep holding W and spacebar. And that's gonna look a bit like this. And that way you can actually get it every single time. So there are actually more shortcuts than you can find in the Flood Escape physics engine. They're both involved in the room or the outside place before you get to this place. One of them is jumping around the crate, which I will show now. The other one is wall hopping on the side, which is really hard to do, and I can't do it, but I have this clip of my friend doing it, and I'll actually show that right now. So now it's time to watch my speedrun on this map. It doesn't involve these two shortcuts that I showed in the very beginning, but it does involve the rest of them. So I think it will give a pretty good idea of what a relatively safe Blue Moon speedrun looks like. So here we go. Oh. Let's not throw this. Well, that's my first ever Blue Moon run.